I'm Krista Glennie-Seishu, the producer of Nickel City Chef and the owner of Feed Your Soul. Today's secret ingredient was Steampunk hard apple cider from Leonard Oakes Winery. Today's battle featured Nickel City Chef Mietus from Bacchus and challenging chef Dunbar Berdine from the Black Rock Kitchen and Bar.
Hello, my name is James Roberts. I'm the executive chef at the Park Country Club of Buffalo. Today I was a judge in Battle Hard Cider from Leonard Oakes. It's a great ingredient, it's a great product, but it is difficult to cook with because of the nuances, the effervescence, the alcohol content, the floral notes that is in the making of the cider process. It's hard to preserve. Some people would say that there's a lot that you can do, but execution is everything.
I thought the Steampunk cider was amazing. It had a real effervescence, a real clean apple flavor. There was a lot of stuff we could do with it, and it was real easy to work with. It played very well in the Sabayon. It played very well with the greens that I did. It paired awesome with foie gras. I really thought it was a great ingredient.
I've done a bunch of these, and that hour doesn't get any longer. It's a tough run, and it was a fun run. The secret ingredient cider, pretty challenging. I had to think out of the box this time. Challenge for me was to not make it so repetitive and to give each dish its own distinct flavor.
For my first course, I did pork 3 ways. I pressure cooked a pork belly with some hard spices in the cider. I made a gawumpki out of some ground pork and a shumai with apples and ginger, and I steamed both of those in cider. Then I made a annatto sauce with the cider and some butter and some annatto for the gawumpki, and then I made a butter sauce for the shumai.
My first course, cracked fennel and peppercorn crusted salmon with a warm poached apple crisp, microgreen salad, and a cider vinaigrette. First we took some beautiful salmon, nice thick cut, just crusted one side, hard sear on it. We poached those apples for about a half an hour, got them cooled, breaded them in panko, fried them until you were crispy. We made a reduction of the cider and turned that into a vinaigrette. For
my second course, I did a duck breast pastrami, duck confit, and foie gras pairing. Paired that with some braised greens. I braised them in the foie gras butter with the cider. I thought that the foie gras and the cider came together and made a real nice rich sauce for around it. Then I put a nice piece of foie gras right on top.
My second course was seared foie gras with an apple waffle, a cider gastrique, and a pear and apple chutney.
Third course was a cider poached plum, and I topped that with a cider sabayon and with a little cider spun sugar for texture. I thought the sabayon really played the cider very well. It really brought the cider flavor out.
Third course was a cider bouillabaisse, or my take on a bouillabaisse. A lot of seafood, halibut, scallops, mussels, shrimp, all poached with a cider-based broth that had yellow tomatoes, fennel, a little bit of heat, and parsnips. The parsnips really balanced out that cider very nicely with the addition of some Swiss chard, some bitter greens. I think it was a successful dish.
Hi, my name is Arlene Stein. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I run a hospitality symposium in Toronto called Terroir Hospitality. The dish I love best that Chef Dunbar did was the little mini dim sum plate. And so it had the little tiny cabbage roll, and it had the braised pork belly, and then the shumai on it as well. And so I just thought it was really interesting and creative that he had so many different elements and lots of different color and flavor on the same plate.
Hi, I'm Ivy Knight. I am a food writer and former chef from Toronto. I was a judge today in the battle. So today's dishes, the ones that stood out the most for me, first of all was Chef Dunbar's plum dessert. He did cider poached plums with a cider spiked sabayon. It was a beautiful plate. It looked really lovely. It made me think that spring might be on its way.
I thought Chef Dunbar's dishes were very good. I thought the concepts were fantastic. The idea of using the hard cider in a sabayon as a dessert is something that I really like. I thought his appetizer dish was very good too. Again, I think the level of execution necessary to preserve the key ingredient really shows the skill set of the chef.
The dish that I love best that Chef Brian did was the salmon with the deep fried apple and all the fennel and the chopped up apple. I mean, it was just really well defined and well refined dish, and so many different elements, but they all work so beautifully together.
When I saw it, it looked like the cover of a gourmet magazine. It was just stunning to look at, and I think both chefs did an amazing job, and I was really excited that I got to be the person tasting it. I felt bad for the people in the crowd.
I love the texture of crunch and soft and kind of the dueling of the opposite. I like that the apple was hot and I like the salmon was cold. It really throws your brain off and kind of makes you think about what the actual flavors are. It was very good. It was very pronounced. It takes a deft hand to kind of wield the acidity as he did. and I thought it showed off like the real apple of the hard cider.
I love my experience of coming down here. I've never been to Buffalo before, which is ironic because I live about 2 hours away. It surprised me how close both cities are, and so I'd love to come back again. There's a lot more to explore, and there's a lot more restaurants that I didn't get a chance to eat at. And I think that there should be a lot more collaboration and partnership between Buffalo and what we're doing in Southern Ontario, because again, proximity-wise and geography, we're very, very close, and we have a lot of ideas and resources that we can share.
Last year when I competed, you're so focused on the job and so focused on getting it done, and time's flying by so quickly that from a judge's perspective, you see it going on and you know where they're at in their head, but to watch it all come together is still amazing to me. The idea of putting out 3 plates of anything in an hour, much less well-crafted, thoughtful food concepts that are not only hot and delicious, but present well in all the categories is very difficult. It's a different experience, certainly to be the one on this side of the table to assess a number and a grade to these two great chefs after knowing what they went through to get there, and you know, the whole day, and then the stress of being there, standing there, shaking the microphone while you're talking about your food after an hour of just getting your butt kicked is a very different experience. It certainly is, and I felt privileged to be able to taste everything. That's not something everybody gets to do. It was a very good experience, and I enjoyed my judge counterparts also.
So this is my 3rd time in Buffalo, and I was really excited to come back. The first time I came, I didn't know what to expect until I met Krista, and Krista really showed me that the local food movement is not something that's just happening hugely in Canada. It's also happening here across the border in New York State. It's also not something that's just happening in Portland and Austin and Brooklyn. It's happening in Buffalo as well. The scene that I've discovered here is so vibrant and incredible, and the ingredients are incredible. And the young chefs that Krista's bringing together really deserve to get recognized. So I hope that whoever's watching this, you know, pays attention and spreads the word, because it really is a fabulous movement that they're putting together here.